Could I please ask Chairwoman Davis just for kind of an overview of where we are with DFPS, since that is a big issue for everybody, just in general, what did we end up doing there?
Sure. So that was obviously one of the subcommittee's priorities. And if you want to turn to like agency request 1G.
Page 2.
So if this, I know this may appear to be a large reduction, right? Because you have, you know, the request was for $43 million and we've adopted $10 million. But to put that in context, and the LBB might be able to explain this, we realized going through the requests after the last committee that the agency had double counted their requests in the rate increases on several of the strategies. And this was one of them. So that significantly reduced the amount necessary to fund the item once we backed out the double counting of the rate increases. So that is why you see this number, this $10.2 million for G. And then if you want to look, I know one of the main concerns was obviously caseworker funding. So if you look to 2A, you see we have $100 million there for caseworker funding. And that is going to provide an additional 728 FTEs specifically for conservatorship caseworkers. And so that, according to our discussions with the agency and with the LBB, that is going to help better align the agency with the caseload metric of 15 caseloads per caseworker. And remember, the base budget funds 828 caseworkers. So this is $100 million for an additional 728 FTEs, which, you know, I think clearly shows that we have prioritized the caseworker issue. And then, of course, foster care redesign is one of the is probably one of the other major priorities.
And I would add on that one, just for the sake of the members, there was a substantial conversation with Chair Davis, myself, Chairman Raymond, the commissioner, this area, and a few others to really make sure we nailed this number right with the consideration for all things going on. And there was unanimity after that conversation, which probably lasted about 30, 45 minutes on this singular topic to make sure that we were landing in the right place there. And so I want the members of the committee to know, although 100 seems like an arbitrary number, it is anything but that. It really reflects a tremendous amount of consideration for this particular item, and I think Chair Davis has explained it well.
And then the last area on foster care redesign, 4A, again, I know that looks like a substantial change from the request, but again, this figure is less because of the double counting of rates. And if the LBB wants to talk about that.
I think you summed it up nicely. So these items were definitely pared down, and the double counting was reduced, and so.
And you should know that provider rates are obviously a priority, and we are funding provider rates at 95%, and currently the rate is 80% of cost. So there is a rate increase in all of these strategies. And again, these numbers were developed, like Chairman Zerwas indicated, through long discussions with the agency and with the LBB, with confidence that these dollars are going to get us closer to the caseload ratio of 15 to 1.
Well, I very much appreciate all the attention and effort that y'all have given to this, and I know that you have. So I deeply appreciate that. I think it's going to be important, because this is such a high priority for all of us, that we be very clear about how we explain what was requested to get us where we need to be, and how we got to where we are now, inclusive of what you're calling the double counting. And certainly there's things that I do not assume that the original number we were given was necessarily absolutely what it needed to be. There's always room to look at those things. But at the same time, we're being very guided by instructions to contain costs here. And I also want to make sure that we don't go too far in that direction. And this does appear, anyway, to be a substantial reduction in what we had originally heard. And with some explanation, I can understand some of the reductions, but I think we're going to need to really justify not doing everything possible to address what all of us recognize has been an ongoing crisis for years, and where children are actually dying under our care. And I know you know that, but I think we just need to do even more to explain this and make sure we all know what it's about, and that the public understands that we're actually doing everything possible here. So I appreciate it. Thank
And
you.
I agree, and I mean, we can provide the committee with any type of additional information. And again, like I said in my opening remarks, we are not expanding. There are exceptional item requests from DFPS that are entirely new programs that we are putting into Article 11, so that we can focus all of our efforts on the priorities of foster care redesign and caseworker load, and increasing those rates, because obviously there's litigation, and so the subcommittee was very mindful of that as well. We do not want to run afoul of anything that the court has done so far, and that or what we anticipate, which is a crystal ball, but we can anticipate what the court will say or how the court would react given what we decide to do in this budget this cycle.